You know what all this sovereign wealth fund stuff is all about? The sovereign wealth fund, why they've transferred so much money from reserves to wealth funds, is not because they want to go and wind up the US government, they're going to go and buy lots of trophy assets. It's because if they take it out of reserves, it no longer is under reserve currency holding policy, which officially has still got to be US Treasury, okay, in a political agreement with the US. It's now an independent investment fund. It can buy and sell any assets it wants in any currency. So it's a way of freeing themselves from being tied to this weight of the US dollar and being able to buy stuff in euros or Sing dollars. Have you noticed what they're spending the money on? They tend to be looking for assets that are non-US dollar. So, hundreds of poor unemployed black guys onto the street, okay, that is going to cause all sorts of social issues. Okay? So, if we look at the current state of the housing market and the knock-on effects on even ordinary people's houses, right, and house valuations, because this has led to the bursting of what was basically a bubble in housing. I love long-range data, so what I've done is I happened in this long-range series look at US housing data, taken the incredibly economic significant start date of 45 years ago on May 1963, because I happened to be born in that month. My father said at the time, you know, he thought the world was coming to an end, and that wasn't just because I'd been born, but it was also the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and you know, Kennedy sort of threatening to go against the Soviet Union and opening the silos and all that kind of stuff. So this was a pretty risky, unstable time, and yet in that year, in that month, right, there were new housing starts of 125,000 units, right, which is very, very positive. And building permits awarded, which is the blue line, of roughly the same, and very, very healthy levels of house sales. Okay? Any time new building permits and new housing starts dips below 100,000 units a month, as economists, we've always worried. Okay? We are looking now at 77,000, almost half the time when I was born 45 years ago. Okay? That is not good. And it's well below the 100,000 that we worry about. And the same for building permits, and new home sales, of course, also having dropped massively. The last time the current data in housing was as bad as that was the big recession that they had around the 1991 time. For those of you who remember, it wasn't very nice. And the last time it got even worse than that was going all the way back to the 1973 oil crisis, which was a deep, horrible recession driven from external shock of the OPEC oil price rises. Okay? So this does not look good. Do not forget how much of a developed country's economy depends on housing. Right? Just on construction, house sales, building, and homes alone, the direct side, it's 15 to as much as 20%. And we estimate that it goes from 25 up to about 27% if you factor in the furniture industry, which predominantly depends on housing, carpet industry, paint industry, lighting industry, right? It goes on and on and on. Conveyancing solicitors, okay? All of that stuff. You package that all together, we reckon about anywhere from 25, could be as much as 30% of the US economy depends on housing and household-related goods and house goods. Okay? Where is a lot of that furniture, lighting, now even carpets, sometimes even paint made in Asia, right? So much for decoupling. So this data does not look good, and it's going to take some time to clear, and we're starting to see bits of data that we have never seen before. Right? I have never seen the US Fed, and I'm a bank crisis cleanup guy, right? I've been in the business 20 years. I've never seen